They laughed when I saluted at the gate, called me a charity case playing soldier. My supervisor slapped my file shut and screamed I'd never be more than a parking lot decoration. But when that screen lit up during the ceremony and my classified record filled the room, their laughter died in their throats. If you've ever been underestimated, stick around. And if this story hits you hard, smash that like button and subscribe, because what happens next will leave you speechless. I'm standing in the personnel office and I can feel my heartbeat in my throat. The fluorescent lights are too bright, buzzing like angry wasps above my head. My transfer papers are sitting on Lieutenant Breslin's desk, and she's looking at them the way you'd look at a piece of trash someone left on your doorstep. She's a woman in her late 40s with iron gray hair pulled back so tight it must hurt, and eyes that have forgotten how to soften. She flips through my file with 2 fingers, like it might be contaminated. "Guard duty station 7, she says, not looking at me. "Another washout from the assessment program. Wonderful. Just what I needed to complete my day." Her voice is acid, dripping with contempt I haven't earned yet. I want to tell her there's more to the story, that my file doesn't show everything, but my throat closes up. Some battles you can't win before they've even started. She finally looks up at me, and I see it in her eyes, the decision already made. I'm guilty before the trial. Front gate duty. You'll stand, you'll salute, and you'll try very hard not to embarrass this unit. Do you think you can manage that, or is that too complicated? The words hang in the air between us like a slap I can see coming but can't dodge. I nod because speaking feels impossible. Good. Dismissed. The first morning at the gate, I stand in my pressed uniform, boots shined until I can see my reflection, and I try to hold on to whatever dignity I have left. Corporal Valen, a guy with a buzz cut and a smile that never reaches his eyes, walks past with 2 other guards. "Hey, new girl," he calls out loud enough for everyone to hear. "Did you get lost on your way to the admin building? Someone should draw you a map." They laugh, and the sound follows me like smoke I can't wash out of my clothes. The breaking point comes during morning briefing, 1 week into my assignment. We're all standing in formation, and Breslin walks in carrying my personnel file like it's evidence in a trial. She holds it up, actually holds it up in front of 30 people, and says, "This, everyone, is what pity promotions look like. Someone somewhere felt sorry for her, and now she's our problem. Let's make sure we don't lower our standards just because the system already has." I feel my face burning, heat crawling up my neck and into my cheeks. I want to disappear. I want to defend myself. I want to scream that they don't know anything, that they haven't seen what I've seen, survived what I've survived. But I stand there, silent. Because that's what you do when you're drowning and no one's throwing you a rope. You stay still. You conserve energy. You survive. That night, alone in my quarters, I stare at the ceiling and remind myself why I'm here. Why I chose this. Why silence is sometimes the hardest mission of all. They think they know me. They think I'm nothing. And maybe, for now, that's exactly what I need them to think. The days start blending together like watercolors left in the rain. I wake up, put on my uniform, stand at my post, and become invisible. That's the worst part, honestly. Not the insults anymore, but the absence of acknowledgement. I'm a ghost in uniform, a body filling a space that no one wants to occupy. When people walk past me, their eyes slide right over, like I'm part of the concrete and chain-link fence. I've been in firefights where enemies at least had the decency to see me as a threat. Here, I'm not even worth the energy of contempt. Lunch is the loneliest hour. I sit at the far end of the mess hall with my tray, and I watch the others cluster together like magnets, pulling tight into their groups, their laughter sharp and exclusive. Valen tells a joke I can't hear, and the whole table erupts. I focus on my food, counting chews, making each bite last longer so I don't finish too quickly and have to decide whether to sit there looking pathetic or leave and confirm I have nowhere else to go. At night, back in my quarters, I allow myself 5 minutes. Just 5. I open my locker and pull out a photograph I keep hidden beneath my folded shirts. It's old, edges worn from being held too many times. The faces are blurred for security. protocol even in personal photos, but I remember every single person in that picture. I remember their voices, their laughs, the way we moved together like a single organism in the dark. I remember what it felt like to be trusted, to be essential, to be seen. Then I put the photograph away and locked the door on that part of my life, because that's not who I'm allowed to be right now. The announcement comes on a Tuesday. There's going to be a regional military honors ceremony on base, the kind of event with generals and press cameras and families in their best clothes. It's a big production, the kind where everyone wants to be visible, to be part of something that matters. Breslin gathers us for assignments, and I watch her hand out positions like she's dealing cards in a game I'm not invited to play. Valen, you're on stage security. Rafe, crowd control. Definitely need our best for the cameras. She's smiling, energized by the importance of it all. Then her eyes land on me and the smile flattens. You. Back entrance. Out of sight. I need someone there, but let's not make it complicated. Stand. Watch the door. Stay out of the way. Think you can handle that without creating an incident? The others smirk. I nod. What else can I do? The night before the ceremony, I'm alone in my quarters polishing my boots. My hands move in slow, precise circles, left boot, right boot, over and over until the leather glows like black glass. It's a ritual from another life, muscle memory from a version of myself I've buried so deep I sometimes forget she existed. I whisper into the silence. They don't know. They don't need to know. But there's a part of me, small and fierce and buried beneath all the discipline and silence, that wonders what would happen if they did. Not because I want revenge, I'm too tired for that, but because everyone deserves to be seen, at least once, to be acknowledged as more than the story someone else wrote about them. I finish polishing and set my boots by the door, perfectly aligned. Tomorrow, I'll stand where they put me. I'll be invisible again. And maybe that's exactly what I deserve for choosing silence over truth. The base looks like a different world on ceremony day. Banners snap in the wind, crisp and bright against the pale sky. There are cameras everywhere, their lenses like black eyes watching, recording, preserving. Hundreds of people move through the courtyard in dress uniforms, the kind with medals that catch the sunlight and ribbons that tell stories most civilians will never understand. Families cluster near the entrance, children in stiff formal clothes, wives and husbands holding programs like sacred texts. This is the military at its most polished, its most proud. And I'm at the back entrance, exactly where Breslin put me. Out of sight. Irrelevant. Through a narrow window, I can see into the main hall where rows of chairs face a stage draped in flags. I watch Breslin near the front, shoulders back, chin high, shaking hands with visiting generals like she's personally responsible for every success this base has ever had. Valen stands near the stage in his dress uniform, looking important, looking seen. I should feel bitter, but I just feel numb. The ceremony begins with speeches, the kind that use words like honor and sacrifice and brotherhood. I've heard them 1,000 times. They mean something, they do, but after a while they start sounding like white noise, like elevator music for patriotism. I'm only half listening, my attention drifting, when the host's voice changes tone. Today we honor something special, he says, and there's weight in his words now. Gravity. We honor those who served in our most dangerous, most classified operations, commandos who operated in the shadows, whose names and faces we couldn't reveal until now. My stomach drops like an elevator with cut cables. No, not here. Not now. The massive screen behind the stage flickers to life, and I can see it clearly even from my distant window. First, there are mission files, pages of redacted text, classified stamps, the bureaucratic evidence of things that officially never happened. Then faces begin to appear. Young faces, hard faces, faces I recognize because some of them died in my arms. And then there's me. It's a photo from 6 years ago, tactical gear, weapon slung across my chest, standing in a desert I can still taste when I close my eyes. My face is younger, but harder. Eyes that have seen things the woman at the back entrance has tried very hard to forget. The announcer's voice echoes through speakers I can barely hear, but I catch the words. Captain Thalia Rowan led 14 classified deep reconnaissance missions in hostile territory, 3 Purple Hearts, 2 enemy compounds neutralized, saved 27 Allied operatives under heavy fire. The hall goes silent. I mean silent like death, like the moment after an explosion before the screaming starts. I can see people turning, heads swiveling, searching. Someone near the back stands up, trying to get a better look at the screen. I watch Breslin's face even from this distance, and it's like watching ice crack. Her expression goes from proud to confused to absolutely, devastatingly white. Valan's mouth is open, literally open. The smug confidence that's lived on his face since I met him is just gone. I don't move. I don't rush inside to claim my moment. I just stand there at my post, breathing in and out, feeling something shift inside my chest. Not vindication, not triumph. Something quieter. Something like the sound a locked door makes when it finally opens. They know now. They all know. And I didn't have to say a single word. The ceremony ends, but the aftermath lingers like smoke that won't clear. I stay at my post because that's what I was assigned to do, and discipline doesn't disappear just because the truth came out. People file out of the hall, and I can hear the murmur of voices, confusion mixed with disbelief. Some of them glance toward the back entrance where I'm standing, their eyes wide, trying to reconcile the woman on that screen with the nobody they've been stepping over for weeks. Breslin finds me an hour later. I'm still standing there, hands clasped behind my back, eyes forward. I hear her footsteps, fast, uneven, nothing like her usual confident stride. When I turn, she looks smaller somehow, like someone let the air out of her. Her face is pale, her eyes red-rimmed, and her hands are shaking. Actually, shaking. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice cracks on the last word, and I realize she's close to tears. I didn't know. Your file, it didn't say. She stops, swallows hard. God, I didn't know. I look at her for a long moment, and I feel nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just a vast, empty tiredness. You never asked, I say quietly. You saw a transfer sheet with my name on it and decided who I was in 30 seconds. You didn't want to know. None of you did. She tries to apologize, words tumbling over each other like rocks in a landslide. I was wrong. I was so wrong. If I had known, if someone had just told me. But I'm already walking past her, not rudely, just done. There's nothing she can say that will give me back the weeks of isolation, the humiliation, the nights I sat alone wondering if I'd made a mistake coming here. Her apology is for her, not for me, and I don't have the energy to absolve her. The next morning, Colonel Idris arrives. He's a tall man with gray at his temples and eyes that have seen too much to be impressed by rank alone. I knew him back in my Commando days. He was intelligence liaison on 3 of my missions. He pulls Breslin and Valan into a closed-door meeting in the administrative building. I'm not there, but the walls are thin, and word travels fast on a military base. Later, someone tells me what he said. She outranks half this base in actual combat experience. The only reason Captain Rowan is here is medical recovery leave after her last deployment, and you treated her like garbage. You didn't just disrespect a soldier. You disrespected someone who's earned more in 5 years than most of you will in 20. His voice, they said, was cold enough to freeze blood. Breslin is reassigned within 48 hours. Not discharged, not demoted, but moved to a desk job at a logistics center 3 states away where she'll never lead people again. Valan gets a formal reprimand in his permanent file, the kind that follows you like a shadow, quietly destroying promotions you'll never understand you lost. At morning formation 2 days later, Colonel Idris addresses the entire base. He doesn't use my name, but everyone knows who he's talking about. Respect isn't about what you can see on paper. It's about recognizing that every person in uniform has a story you might not know, and assumptions. Assumptions get people killed. The courtyard is silent. Guards who walked past me like I was furniture now stand straighter when I pass. Some apologize quietly, voices low and ashamed. I nod but don't linger. Acceptance isn't the same as forgiveness. And I'm not sure I have the latter to give yet. Colonel Idris calls me into his office on a Thursday morning, and for the first time in weeks, I don't feel my stomach knot when I walk into a room with someone who outranks me. His office is simple, maps on the walls, commendations in frames he probably didn't hang himself, a coffee mug that says, "Retire? I'm too pretty." He gestures to a chair, and I sit. "You've been through hell here," he says, no preamble, no dancing around it. "And you handled it with more grace than it deserved. I'm sorry it took a public ceremony for people to see what should have been obvious." He leans back in his chair, studying me. "Your medical leave is almost up. You could request another transfer, go anywhere you want. After what happened, no one would question it." I think about that. Another base, another fresh start, where no one knows me as the guard they mocked or the captain whose record appeared on a screen. It's tempting, the idea of disappearing again, of slipping back into anonymity. But something in me resists. "What's the alternative?" I ask. "Training position," he says. "Teaching survival and reconnaissance to new recruits. You'd shape the next generation, pass on what you know. We need people who understand what real combat looks like, not just textbook theory." He pauses. "You've earned rest, Thalia. But if you want to build something instead of just recovering from what broke you, we need you." I sit with that for a moment. The idea of standing in front of young soldiers, seeing myself in their uncertain eyes, teaching them not just how to survive, but how to trust themselves when everyone else doubts them. It feels right in a way nothing has felt right since I arrived here. "I'll do it," I say, "but on one condition. I don't want anyone treating me differently because of what they saw on that screen. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who did her job and survived it." He nods slowly. "Deal." 3 weeks later, I'm standing at the same gate where Valen mocked me, where I felt invisible and small and forgotten. But everything's different now. A group of new recruits marches past, and when they see me, they salute. Sharp, respectful, genuine. I return it, and one of them, a young woman who can't be more than 20, holds my eyes for a second longer. There's something in her expression. Hope, maybe, or recognition. Like she's seeing proof that people like her can make it. I think about Breslin sometimes. Wonder if she's sitting at her logistics desk in some windowless office, replaying moments she wishes she could undo. I think about Valen and whether that reprimand taught him anything or just made him bitter. Mostly, though, I don't think about them at all. They're footnotes in a story that was always mine, not theirs. The truth is, they thought guard duty was my ceiling. They didn't know it was my choice, to heal, to rest, to be anonymous for a while, because I needed to remember who I was when no one was watching. But silence isn't weakness. And being underestimated? That's their failure, not mine. I didn't need revenge. The truth was enough. If this story reminded you that quiet strength is still strength, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more stories about people who were underestimated and proved everyone wrong. Drop a comment. Have you ever been judged unfairly? I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one.